Hi, hello. A very good evening to everyone, to all parents and to all students. All right. So welcome to tonight's webinar, where we are going to conquer problem sum, right, using our mind stretcher power codes. Okay, now I'm very sure that many of you all would actually have just finished your prelim, your school prelim. Okay, so how are you feeling? Okay, maybe some of you will be feeling excited or perhaps a little bit jittery because in about exactly 1 month's time, right? 4 weeks, okay? That will be your final battle, okay? So tonight, okay, I will be together with me. I have a teacher, Michael. Yeah, so both of us here will be actually hosting tonight's webinar, and we'll be actually preparing this type of material that we hope is going to help you, to help you to be very well versed in applying a very efficient technique to deal with a different type of problem sum. Okay, so what we have prepared tonight are actually some of the power codes that is very frequently tested. Okay, and we're going to go through them and help everyone to. For those of you who actually know this well, it will be a good chance to reinforce what you are uh, to help to reinforce in terms of your technique in applying them. And if any one of y'all who may not be so familiar in application, okay, later as we go through, they will guide you and show you how you should go about analyzing the question and to then apply the technique in a very organized and in a very efficient manner, okay, to solve the question. So a question can be a little bit, appear to be complicated sometimes when you first read the question, but once you analyze and understand the question well, and you apply the right technique, you'll find that a difficult question can be solved quite easily, okay, and and it should not be taking you many steps. Okay, so we'll go through that later on, okay? Yes, tonight our webinar will end until about 9 p.m. Okay, but anyway, I will welcome you to interact with me later on. Okay, as well as to with your teacher Michael. So as we go through, if you have any question, yeah, please do feel free to let us know. Okay. Yes. Hello everyone. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for all the greetings. All right. So I think with that, I'm going to start off with the first question. Can I have a quick check now? How many of you all had a chance to already try the question? Have you all tried? Wow, okay, very good. Okay, I see many responses. Okay, and many of you has told me that yes, you have tried. Only, I suppose, perhaps, okay, I start to have some who tell me that you have not. Okay. Now it's okay. For those of you who had a chance to try them, okay, I hope you have fun trying the question. Okay, I don't know whether you got it correct or not, but in a short while you will know. Okay, I'll be going through. Now, the important thing here is tonight is not so much about whether you can get the question right or wrong. Yes, I think some of you have told me that you got some question you know how to do, but maybe there are some that you're not very sure. Okay, I think the important thing here is really about learning from it. Okay, whether you get it correct or you get it wrong, I think the most important thing that I want you to take away from tonight is to have learned how to apply the different technique to the different type of question, as well as how do you analyze the question. Okay, if you have got it correct, well done. Okay, and I think you can still learn from what you have done to get it correct. For those of you who didn't get it right, no worries. Between now to your PSLE, there are still some time. Okay, and there are still time for us to do something about it. Okay, and I hope that through the explanation later on, you will become more familiar and be more confident in terms of how to approach the question and to be able to do it more confidently. Okay, the next time you see this kind of question. All right. Okay, so well done to those of you who had a chance to go through our material. Now I'm going to start with the first question. So let me share my screen. Okay, you can all see my screen. Teacher Michael, my screen is okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at our first question tonight. Okay. Now, for those of you who have tried the question, I'm quite sure you should be very familiar with what this question is about. But for the benefit of those of you who have not had a chance to actually try the question, now have a quick look at this question. It's not a very long question. So this question is about this Mrs. Lee had a sum of money and she spent $265.10 on 5 plates and 8 bowls. Now, if she want to buy another plate, she would have 220 left. But if she want to buy another bowl, she will be short of $10.30. Now, reading this question, when you look at this question, very quickly, can everyone tell me, okay, including those who have not tried, now, what sort of power code are we looking at for this question? Now, in my structure, we call them power codes. In your school, you may have learned different heuristic as well, the similar heuristic, and you may call it slightly differently, but it's fine. I think the technique is the same. You may call it a bit differently. So, can anyone quickly just let me know what is the power code or the technique that you think this question is testing you? Okay, great. Thank you for the response. Yes, I think quite a number of you actually got it correct. Now, this question here, let's analyze. Now, it says about plates and bowl, and you have certain amount left and certain amount that you are short of. Okay, so when you look at this, you should ring a bell that this is actually about excess and shortages. Okay, now let me just put it down for everyone. Okay, so well done. Okay, many of you actually did identify correctly. It's excess and shortages. Okay, so let me just write it down for you. Now, let's see how we can then apply this to this particular question, this technique. Okay, now the first important thing to do is that the amount of money that this person has, we doesn't really know. But there's some useful information that allow us to connect a relationship between the plate and the bowl. Okay, because it says that if you were to buy another plate, she would have 220 left. Now, this actually tells me that 220 left means I have got something extra. Okay, that means I haven't used up all my money. Okay, but if I were to buy the bowl, I wouldn't have enough money, right? I'm short of 10.30. So clearly in your mind, you must be thinking that the way the plate and the bowl is related is such that the bowl is probably more expensive than my plate. So to help you to actually visualize this, okay, it's always helpful to actually give a quick sketch, okay, of the bowl and the plate. Okay, so maybe let me just do it here for everyone. So let's say this is the bowl, and here is the plate. Okay. Now, bowl is more expensive, right? I think we can agree with that. So I'm going to draw this bar a bit longer. Okay. And in the case of the plate, okay, it's shorter. Okay. So the bowl is actually more expensive than the plate. Now, that's where I'm here going to draw the connection between the bowl and the plate. Now, the amount of money that I have is fixed, okay? But I do not know what is that amount. But I do know that I will have some spare cash if I were to get a bowl, one of the plate, one plate, right? So that means the amount of money that I have is probably somewhere here. Okay, I use a dotted line to illustrate. Okay, so this will be the amount of money that I have not spent finished. That means I left with 220. Okay, in the case of the bowl, because the amount I have is represented by this dotted line, so I obviously doesn't have enough, right? Because you see the bowl is actually longer than what I have. So this part here will be the shortage. Okay, so this will be 10.30. Okay. Now, once I have this relationship between the plate and the bowl, it becomes very helpful for me to then solve this question. Okay. Now, I can then know that actually from here, it's quite clearly illustrated that actually the bowl will actually cost a certain amount more than the plate. Okay, so I can actually know that $10.30 plus the 220 will be the difference between one bowl and one plate. Okay, so the difference in cost, okay, the difference in, okay, let me write this down here. Difference in cost. Okay, in this case here is 220 plus $10.30. Okay, and that will give me $12.50. Okay, so therefore I know that one bowl costs $12.50 more than one plate. Okay, one bowl costs $12.50 more than one plate. Okay, so I'm going to write this down for the benefit of everyone, especially for those of you who maybe didn't get this part correct. Okay, so let me scroll up a little bit. Now, once I know that, I will be able to determine, in the case of this question, it says that Mrs. Lee spent $265.10 on 5 plate and 8 bowl. Now, the 8 bowl that I have, I can actually convert that into, in terms of plate. Okay, so in this case here, the 8 bowl will cost how much more? It will cost $12.50 times 8, right? 8 times more. Okay, so in this case here, I can compute this $12.50 multiplied by 8. Okay, so this will give me this amount that is exactly $100. All right. Now, if in this case, if let's say this Mrs. Lee were to spend all the money just on buying plate, now how much would Mrs. Lee have spent? Okay, that means this person, Mrs. Lee, did not buy the bowl. Okay, so when you convert the 8 bowl into 8 plates, okay, so which means she would have saved $100, right? She would not have spent the additional $100 because the bowl costs this amount more than the plate. Okay, so in this case here, the amount that she would have spent less will be this 265 and 10 cents minus away the $100. So that will give you 165.10. Now with that, this means that the total number of plates that is being bought in this case here will be 5. Okay, if I call this unit plus the 8 units of the 8. So altogether, I will have 13 units. Okay, so therefore, I will know that if let's say I were to just buy plates, that means the 5 plate plus the 8 plate instead of the 8 bowl. Okay, in total, this 13 unit will be equal to this amount, right? Less the $100. Okay, so from here, I will be able to know 1 unit. If you divide by 13, okay, you will get $12.70. Okay, so that is the cost of 1 plate, right? Because we have converted everything into plate. So therefore, I know 1 plate, okay, costs you $12.70. Now, once I know the cost for 1 plate, I can now answer the question. The question asks you, how much money did she have? Okay, the amount of money that she has. So in this case, I know that in total, she has actually, if I look at this diagram here to help you, okay, now she has already spent $265.10 for the 5 plates and the 8 bowl. Okay, Now, to know the amount of money that she had now, okay, in this case here, I will know that if she were to buy one plate, okay, she had that 220 left. So this one plate plus the 220 will give you the amount that she has, which is this dotted line here, represented by this dotted line. So since she has already spent the 265 and 10 cents, okay, so I can write down the amount Mrs. Lee, okay, had will be equal to 265 and 10 cents, okay, so plus the amount that she buy for one plate, right? So if actually she were to buy one more plate, so she will have then spent another 1270 because I know one plate is how much. And I also know that she will have left with 220. So you have plus that 220, then I will be able to know the total actual amount that she has. So if I sum up all this, you will be able to get this amount in total 280. Okay, so this is the answer, okay, which is the total amount that Mrs. Lee has. Okay, Ken, I hope everyone is clear. Okay, not to worry. If any one of you has any question or any part that's not clear, you can just type into chat and let us know. Okay, teacher Michael will be there to assist you. If there's any part that's not clear. Okay, Ken. But I can see that quite a number of you all did also get the answer. Okay, okay, well done. Okay, so I hope this is clear now. This is how we can actually apply this technique on excess and shortage to help answer this question. Okay, so the important thing here is to form that relationship between one plate and one bowl so that you can actually convert it to everything to either the plate or to a bowl. Okay, but of course, in this case here, it's much easier if I would convert everything to one plate, everything to plate. That means the person, if were to buy just plate, so how much would the person have spent? Okay, so based on that, then you should be able to get the same result as I have gotten here. Okay, so I'm going to leave my answer here for a short while in case any one of you all need to refer to it, or you can take a quick screenshot, okay, before we go into the next question. Okay, for the rest of you all who are ready, let's take a look at the next question. Okay, now the next question is about this Mrs. Ong bought some curry and tuna puff, okay, for this housewarming party. Now, the cost of one curry puff and one tuna is given. Okay, but the question says that she bought 8 more curry puff than tuna, but yet she paid $28.80 more for the tuna puff than the curry puff. So the question is, how many curry puff did she buy for the party? Okay, now this question seems a bit confusing, because there's a certain quantity involved here, and there's also a certain amount that's involved, right? So we're going to see how are we going to solve this question. But before I go into the details, can I have a quick check, in terms of the method? Now, did anybody manage to spot, what should be the method that we should be using for this question? Okay. So this is the question, for those of you who are referring to your worksheet just now. Okay. Now, what method are you using? Okay, I have seen quite a varied answer. Okay, some of you all mentioned about well, algebra. Some try to use units and value. Okay, grouping, remainder. Wow, okay, many different methods. Interesting. I see one says what, freestyle method. Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Looks like everyone have a slightly different idea in terms of how we should be doing this question. So actually, who actually has got the right, have used the right method? Okay. Now let me slowly explain this question and break down this question for everyone to help you understand how we should go about interpreting the information that's given and use it for the question. Okay, now let me guide you to show everyone how you can do that. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for all your response. Okay, I can see that this question, unlike the previous one, previous one has many of you actually correctly identified the method, but for this question, it's a bit more tricky. So I can see the answer that the response that come in is a bit more varied. Okay, quite different. Each person has got slightly different method. And actually, I can see that some of the method that you all have indicated are not really suitable. Okay, so I'm going to guide you on how to do this. Now, in this case, but I did see a few of you did mention correctly the method, okay? Okay, I'm going to write this down for you, okay? And the few of you who actually identified correctly, I hope you have actually attempted the question well as well. Now, the question here, okay, the method here is actually this thing called big difference and small difference, okay? I'll write this down for you. Big difference and small difference, okay? Okay, so this is what we call this method in terms of our MS power code, okay? But not so important, okay? Don't worry about the terminology, okay? If you have learned this method by a slightly different terminology, it's fine. Now, let me go and explain the method itself, how you should go about applying it to this question. Now, this question, what is tricky is that there is two set of information that's given to us. One is the number of path, the number of this curry path and tuner path. And we also has got the amount that the person has spent. So how should we connect these two information together in order to solve this question efficiently? Now, the number of curry path, okay, there are altogether 8 more curry path compared to tuner path. Okay, that is based on information given. So if I were to quickly put that down, okay, so let's say this is about the number of path, okay, number of path. So I will have, in this case here, a quick sketch, okay. All right, so let's say this is my curry, and this is my tuna, okay. So in this case here, you have 8 more, right? So the question says that Mrs. Ong bought 8 more curry puff. So the quantity of curry puff has 8 more than the tuna. But how does this translate into the amount that she paid? Okay. Now, because the cost of each curry puff and the tuna puff is a bit different, tuna puff costs a bit more, right? $6.20 as compared to your curry puff. So you're given information that although she bought more curry puff, but she actually paid more in total for the tuna puff than the curry puff. Okay, so I'm going to put this side by side here. So let's say in terms of cost of puff, cost of the puff. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so my curry puff, the amount that I paid in total is lesser than the tuna puff. Okay, so my tuna puff is going to be longer. Okay, because I paid more. So this is my tuna, and this one is my curry puff. Okay, so I'm going to put down the information that is given in the question, okay, systematically, okay, analyzing them and put them down into this model, okay, to help everyone to better visualize and understand. So this is $28 more, right? So in total, tuna puff, you spend $28.80, okay, more compared to the curry. Now, the curry puff, you will notice that this curry puff, the amount that she spent, include the 8 curry puff that she actually has bought, right? The 8 additional curry puff. So I would actually want to know what is this amount, okay? The amount that is spent on this 8 additional curry puff. So I can actually do a simple calculation. So cost of the 8 curry puff will be equal to So the curry puff costs how much? $3.40, right? Okay, so it will be $3.40 multiplied by 8. Okay, so easily you should be able to get this amount, $27.20. Okay, $27.20. Okay, so that's the cost of that 8 additional curry puff. Now, can you imagine if, let's say, Mrs. Ong did not buy the additional 8 curry puff, okay? She will have equal number of curry puff and tuna puff. Agree? Right? If she did not buy, so I'm going to put down this 8 additional curry puff. How much does it cost over here? Okay, the $27.20. So this $27.20 is because she buy that additional 8. So if she did not buy this 8, she will have equal number of curry puff and tuna puff. Okay, is everyone clear with that? Okay, I think can able to follow, right, this explanation. Now, this is an important part. Okay, now if we were to remove this 8 curry puff, she will have the equal number of curry puff and tuna puff, and this allow us to be able to group them into equal groups. Okay, equal group. So just now I did see some of the responses that somebody mentioned about grouping. Okay, I suppose you may be also thinking along that same approach, just that you call it a grouping method. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to show everyone how we can actually do that. Okay, so I'm going to write this down just for the benefit of everyone. So let's say after, let's say, removing, okay, I'm going to put it down, write down what I've just said just now, okay? Just for the benefit of everybody, so that those of you who are not very sure, you can actually follow better. Now, after removing 8 curry puff, so we have equal number of curry and tuna puff. Okay, and we can actually group them into equal group. Okay, into equal groups. All right. Okay, so with this, okay, let me shift this up. So with this, I will be able to know what is the big difference in the price, right? You know, of the total amount that I spent, the total. So from this model that I've drawn here, can you see? If let's say I didn't buy this 8 curry puff, the equal number of curry puff and tuna puff will result in a difference of how much? If I were to buy equal number of curry puff and tuna puff, okay, the difference in the amount that she paid will be this $27.20 plus the $28.80, right? So these two add up together will be the total difference in the cost if she were to buy equal number of curry puff and tuna puff. Okay, so I'm going to put this down as the big difference. Okay, so this is the big difference in the price. Okay, the big difference in price. And that is your 27.20 plus 28.80. Okay, so this will give me $56. Okay, if you add that up. So that's the big difference in the price. Now, how about the small difference in the price between 1 tuna and 1 curry puff? Okay, so this one I can also easily determine. Small difference. Okay, between your tuna and curry puff. So that will be, the small difference is the cost of 1 tuna minus away the cost of one curry puff. Okay. So this will be equal to $2.80. Okay. Now, I'm going to explain to everyone. Now, why do I want to do this? Okay. Now, some of you always may just remember, oh, I find a big difference, then I take the small difference, and that's it, right? Then I use the method to calculate. Now, but I want you to understand exactly why are we doing this, so that you appreciate and understand the working a bit better, okay? Rather than just pure memorization. Now, this big difference in the total price must be as a result of your tuna puff being more expensive than the curry puff, right? One tuna puff is more expensive than one curry puff. And one tuna puff costs $2.80 more expensive. So if you were to add up all the total tuna puff and all the total curry puff, you will result in a bigger difference. Am I right? So this $56 is due to an accumulation of all the many $2.80. All right? Can you all follow that? Right? $56, that big difference is an accumulation of all the small little $2.80, $2.80, $2.80, many of them. So if I were to take $56 and divide by the $2.80, I will be able to know actually how many of these $2.80 are there. All right? So that is why I am actually doing this in my next step. Okay? So the number of groups, because I have equal number of tuna and curry puff. So grouping one tuna and one curry puff together, it will result in that small difference of $2.80, right? Because when you compare one tuna and one curry puff, that difference is $2.80. So in this case here, I will be able to know what is the number of groups. Okay, number of groups. Okay, that will be equal to 56 divided by the 280. Okay, and that will give me a nice number, 20, right? Altogether 20 groups. So altogether 20 group means I know there are actually 20 curry puff, 20 tuna puff, right? But what did the question ask you? Okay, let's take a look. The question asked for how many curry puff did she buy for the party? Okay, curry puff. So in this case here, curry puff, we know that she actually bought 8 more. All right. So therefore, the answer is, let me write it down. Okay. So number of curry puff, okay, will be equal to 20 plus the 8, right, that she bought. So altogether 28. Okay, so that's the answer. Okay, I hope everyone is clear with the explanation. Okay, all clear now? Okay, because just now for this question is a bit more tricky, and I see that many of the responses come in with different kind of methods. So probably not many of you have got it correct. Okay, so I hope those of you who didn't got it correct, you are now a lot more clearer. Okay, and understand also, not just clear, but also understand the working. Why are we doing each of the step? Okay, and are very clear now. Is it all right, everyone? Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thanks for all the response. Okay, now I can see many of you tell me, yes, I got it now. I got it correct. Okay, so many of you now understood. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, thanks very much for all the responses. Okay, I'm very happy to see that many of you now, from not very sure, now become clear now. Okay, and understand. Okay, now I'm going to leave same thing. I'm going to leave this question here for a short while for all of you to, if anyone need to refer. Okay, so I'm going to, okay, here, yeah, almost can show the whole thing so that you can have the full picture. If any one of you need to take a quick screenshot, okay, please do so, okay? Now, with that, I'm going to move on to the next question. Now, the third question, okay? Okay, for those of you who are okay with this question, you can look at the next question here. Now, the next question here, you have this Jamie and Maggie play 2 rounds of game with some marbles, and Jamie lost 45 marbles to Maggie in the first round. And what happened in the second round is that Maggie had to give 3/4 of her marble to Jamie. So that's the second round, right? So in the end, Maggie had 120 marbles and Jamie had 420 marbles. So the question is, how many marbles did each of them have at first? Okay, now as you read this question, let me check with everybody here. What is the method that you think is the approach for this question? For those of you who are my special student, feel free to let me know what is that power code? What is the correct power code for this question? Okay, so you can quickly put into the chat and let me know. Wow, okay, I see some units and parts, and I see some ratio, internal transfer as well. Okay, quite a different variety. Model drawing, unitary method. Okay, I also see quite a number of you mentioned about working backwards. Okay, I also see that. Yeah, listing method as well. Unchanged total. Wow. Okay, that is quite a lot of different methods. Okay, good. At least you still remember the name for all the different methods. Okay, very good. Okay, now I'm going to yes. Okay, thank you very much for response. Okay, thank you. Okay, wow. Okay, good. Very happy to see all the very active participation. Okay, now I'm going to go on to the next question. Okay, let me move up. Okay, this is the one, right? Okay, okay, I will be going through again, same thing. I will analyze the question for you, so that for those of you who actually didn't use the right method, okay, you can actually learn from this question. Now, the correct answer is working backwards. Okay, well done. I did see quite a number of you all did give me this answer. Okay, so that is the correct, the most so-called efficient method to apply for this particular question. Okay, so in mind structure, we call this power code working backwards. Okay, so let's have a look at how we should do this in applying this technique to this question. Now you can see that this question, you have like a sequence of activity happening, and then in the end, you have an end result. Okay, and then the question asks you, what is the marble at first? Now, when you understand the whole question here, I'm happy to see that actually some of you all did recognize that actually this question is about working backward, because there's a sequence of changes going on, and then finally you have an end state. So the question asks you, what is the initial state? So usually for this kind of question, it's about working backwards, because you want to trace back the sequence of activity to derive what is the original state, original quantity or amount that they are trying to ask you. Okay, so let's see how we can apply this. Now, there's of course many different ways of presenting your answer, but I would actually recommend that all you all use this table method to make it a bit more systematic and clearer as well, so that easy for you to work it out and easy for you to do checking if you need to check your answer. So for this method, okay, I'm going to show this. Okay, so I'm going to use the blank space here for the benefit of everyone. Okay, so this is how you should do it. Okay, so I got Jamie, I got Maggie. So I'm going to write this down. Okay, so my table. All right, so I'm going to have, okay, so here will be, just say Jamie, and then I have Maggie, and I have my total. Okay, so I will start by working backwards, right? So backward, I will start from the end. So my end state is the final situation. Final situation, what do I have? Now, Jamie had 420 in the end. Okay, where else Maggie had 120, right? So I'm going to write all these things down. So total that they have, okay, if you add up, it will be 540. Okay, now, and I know that in this question here, the total didn't change, because it's about Jamie giving Maggie and Maggie giving back to Jamie. So basically, I give you, you give me, basically the total between us is still the same. Am I right? So that's why I can see that. I can also understand why some of you tell me in the response, you tell me about internal transfer. Okay, so some of you recognize this characteristic. Okay, very good. Okay, yeah, so you're not wrong, not totally wrong in this case. But in terms of the approach to apply, okay, let's see how we use the working backwards to do this question. Now, let's work backwards. Before the final round is the second round, right? So I'm going to write down the second round. Okay, so this is my second round. So my second round, I'm going to reverse back, go backward. So instead of Maggie had to, so lost 45, okay, Maggie had to give 3/4 of her marble. Okay, can. So the first round, we must recognize also that this 120 actually represent 1/4 of the marble left. Okay, so this one is actually, okay, just right here, is actually 1/4 of marble left. Okay, so this one is actually representing the 1/4 of the marble left. So in this case, in my second round here, okay, have to give 120. So that means what the person have left will be 3/4, right? So left with 1/4, so my left with 3/4. So if 1/4 is 120, 3/4 must be times 3. So 120 times 3. Okay, that will be equal to the 360. Okay, 360. Okay. So in the case of the second round, Jamie, okay, so it will be, so over here 360, that means in the case of Jamie, if Jamie did not receive the 360, so Jamie would have 360 less, right? Instead of getting 360, I'm going to minus away the 360, right? Because I have to reverse it. So this will give me 60. Okay. But you notice that if I were to add up together, okay, so this 360 plus the 120 from the final state, okay, that will give me 480. Okay. So you'll notice that this 480 plus the 60 is still the same, right? It's still 540. Okay. So that is when I reverse the working for the second round. Okay. Then I can now proceed to the first round, right? We're going to reverse back to the first round. So in the first round, the question says that JB lost 45 marble to Maggie in the first round. Okay. Now, if Jamie did not lose that $45, the 45 marbles, then Jamie will have how many? Okay. It will be 60 plus the, if I reverse back, if I go backward in time, that means 60 plus the 45, right? Plus 45. So this will be 105. Okay. Now, how about in the case of Maggie? Now, if Maggie did not receive that 45 from Maggie, from Jamie, so that means in the first round, okay, the 480, I must minus away this 45, right? Because did not get the 45 from Jamie. So that means actually Maggie have 435. Okay. So you will notice that if I add up the two together, the total is still the same, right? So you can use it as a quick check. So as you work it out, as you work backwards, you will notice that you have not made any careless mistake. Okay, everything is still working well, because you can do this as a quick check, because the total remains the same. So with that, I will know that, okay, at first, this is the amount that each one of them have, right? 105 and 435. So that will actually answer the question, right? Because the question asks you, how many marble did each of them have at first? Okay, so that I really by working backwards, okay, I have computed and determined Jamie and Maggie, respectively, have how much, the quantity that they have in the beginning, which is the first one. Okay, from the first one. Okay, so this is how you can actually present your answer very systematically and efficiently to solve this question if you use this method. All right. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave this question here for a short while for everyone, for those of you who need to refer. And for the rest of you, okay, let's move on to look at question number 4. Okay? Question number 4. Okay, okay, very good. Okay, sorry, I told me that you have managed to solve it. Okay, well done. Okay, good. Okay, now let's take a look at the next question. Now, question number 4, you have this person, Tyler, needs to read a storybook, okay, during a school holiday. and he read 36 pages in the first week. Now, during the second week, this person read 1/5 of the remainder, okay? So have to be careful. It's actually 1/5 of the remainder, and realize that he had half of the book unread. So what is the total number of pages in the book? Okay, so that is what this question is asking. Now, let me move on to the next question here, okay? Now, very quickly here. Now, can everyone take a look at this question, including those of you who just now told me, right, you haven't had a chance to try the question. Now, can you all take a quick look and let me know, I'll put into the chat. Now, what is this power code that you should be using? Okay, for those of you who are my special student, right, you can just name me what is this power code, okay? And even for those of you who may not be my special student, okay, you can just type into the chat, right, because there may be slightly have been taught, but the method is probably the same, okay? Okay, wow, okay, I have quite a number of answers coming in. Yes, branching method, remainder. Okay, okay, yeah, well, okay, many of you have told me that. Okay, fraction of a remainder, yes, well done. Okay, yes, I think many of you have an idea. Okay, I also got some who tell me what equal concept. Okay, okay, got some variation in the responses that come in. Okay, but I do see that quite a vast majority gave me a somewhat similar approach. Although you may call it slightly different name, but I can understand where you're coming from. Okay, okay, very good, well done. I think this question, at least we don't have such a varied response as what we get from the earlier question, from the previous question, especially question number 2. Okay, so for this question, I think many of y'all have the right idea in terms of how we should do this. Now, let me, for the benefit of the rest, okay, let me go through this question so that you can actually learn and benefit from this question. Now, the correct answer in this case here, the power code that you should be using for this question is called fraction of the remainder. Okay, so many of you, I think, have got it correct, just that you may have given me a slightly different terminology. Okay, so fractions of the remainder. Okay, so let me just write it down. All right, now let's look at this question and also analyze as what I have gone through in the past few questions to you, how we should go about analyzing the question and pick up all the relevant information that we can actually is provided in the question or implied by the question to actually apply this technique. Okay, so this question here, it says 1/5 of the remainder. Okay, so I know that after the person has read 36 pages, the remaining amount, I will actually have divided them into 5 equal parts, because this information over here tells me that, right? Because he actually read 1/5 of the remainder. All right, so the remainder, I divide it into 5 parts. So this person read 1/5 of it. Okay, so if I were to put it into a model to make it a bit more visual for everyone to better visualize and see, okay, you can actually draw this. Okay, just a quick sketch. All right, so this is the 36 that was read in the first week, and then the remainder I divide into 5 parts. Okay. Let me try again. It's a bit difficult to use freehand. Okay, so this is the 36 that was read in the first week, right? So this is the remainder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is what was read in the second week. Okay, this is the 1/5. So the remaining over here is what is left after I read the 1/5 of the remainder. So this is actually half of the book. Okay, half of the book, which is half of the total. So from here, I think it becomes a bit clearer, okay, once you actually do a quick sketch of this. So you can actually see that half of the total, half of total is actually equal to 4 units, right? So this means that the total, right, 2 over 2, right, the whole entire book will be equal to 4 units times 2, okay? So that will be the total of 8 units to represent the whole entire book, right? So the whole entire book, it will be represented by 8 units. So with this, I will be able to see quite clearly that altogether here, I have 5 units. So this means that 8 units minus away these 5 units, okay, which is equal to 3 units. And this 3 unit must be equal to this 36, okay, equal to this 36. And once I got that, okay, you're almost there, right? You will know that 1 unit is actually 12. Okay, since I know 3 unit is 36, I will know that 1 unit represents 12. Okay, 12 pages. So I'm now almost there already, right? I'm almost there and I'm ready to answer my question. So let's take a look at what the question asking for. He said, find the number of pages of the book. Okay, so the number of pages of the book will just be simply 8 units. Okay, so 8 units will be equal to 12 times 8, and that will be 96. All right. Okay, so this is how you should actually apply this. So I believe many of you, maybe for this question, okay, you probably have got it correct. Okay, just that there's a handful of you who actually gave me a slightly different response. So for those of you who didn't get it correct, okay, I hope you are now clearer and understand how you should go about approaching this. All right. Okay. Now, someone asked me about how do you get a 5U, okay? Now, over here, you can take a look at this part here. You can see on my this sketch here, okay? After the person has read 36 books, okay? Now, this is the total, right? What I draw here, this bar here is the represent total number of pages in the book. After the 36 pages has been read, this person, Tyler, read 36, read 1/5 of the remainder. So this is the remainder. All right. So this part here, from here onward, these are the remainder, right? Because after the 36, this part here is the remainder. But because the question said that he read 1/5, now 1/5 means I have divided everything by 5 equal parts. So the person read 1/5 of it. So because of that, therefore I know that over here in total, there must be 5 equal parts or 5 equal units. Okay, so that is how we got that 5 units. Okay, I hope you got that clear now. Okay, now it's possible that some of you may have also used the branching method as well. So that's not okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now you are clear with why we got the 5 units. Okay, can. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for asking that question and then to clarify. Okay, so it's possible that you can also use a branching approach as well. So there's more than one possible way. Okay, so this is one method. Okay, which you can actually use this technique to very clearly illustrate this problem and to solve this question. All right. Okay, so I hope everything is going well so far. Okay, thanks for all the response. Okay, from the response, I can see many of you are participating quite actively, and please continue to do that. Okay, for the remaining question. Now, Teacher Michael will be sharing with you, going through with you the next few questions. So I'm going to hand this over to Teacher Michael to actually run through with you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop share.
Okay. Thank you, Teacher James. Okay, let me share my screen first. Okay, so let's look at question 5. Okay, maybe before I start, do you have any idea what power code do you think question 5 will be using? Okay, maybe you all can type in the chat. Okay, so I can see working backwards, simultaneous equation, ratio. Okay, stack up model. Yeah, I see different kinds of power codes that you are using. Okay, but the more correct one will be a stack up model or using the model method. Okay, that means for this power code, we are going to use stack up model. Okay, so I think for most of you here, you all should be quite familiar what is a stack up model power code. And if I'm not wrong, stack up model, you all should have done it before, most likely in P4 onwards. Okay, so did any one of you manage to solve this question already? Question 5. If you have, maybe you can type in the answer first. Okay, then we can take a look. Okay, yeah, I see different kinds of answers. But from the answers that I can see, quite a few of you managed to get it correct. Okay, so maybe we'll work this out together first. Okay, yeah, so I see quite a lot of you managed to get the answer correct. Okay, I will not tell you what is the answer now, but later after we finish this question, then you will know the answer. Okay, so we have this question. Maggie has 2 sticks. Okay, 1/3 of stick A was 35 centimeter longer than 2/5 of stick B. Okay, so if I draw my model, okay, so since it says 1/3 of stick A, that means, okay, I'm going to draw a 3 model here for A. Okay, so each model or each bar represents 1/3 of stick A. Okay, so that means these 3 bars here, all 3 add up together, it should be 1 whole of stick A. And it will be 35 centimeter longer than 2/5 of stick B. So each portion of this will be 35 centimeter. Okay, and for stick B, okay, stick B, I'm going to draw 5 units because they say 2/5. Okay, so what it means will be, okay, so I will have 2 units of stick B and 1 final unit here. That means this is 2/5, 2/5, and the last one will be 1/5 of stick B. So this portion will be for stick B only. And this portion here will be for stick A. So far, is there any problem with the model? Do you understand how this model works? Okay, so if there is no question with the model, then I will go on. Okay, so we know that this whole portion, that means the stick A and stick B, okay, is 237 centimeter. Okay, Gabriel, why is there a 1/5? Okay, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because stick B will be 5 units. Okay, so 2/5, that means it's 2 units of stick B is actually shorter than 1/3 of stick A. Okay, so if I have 4 units already, then I'm only remaining the 5th unit there. That's why I have the last one as 1/5. So total for stick B, I should have 5 units. Okay. So as for why is there 3 1/3? Because 3 1/3 will make up 1 whole of stick A. Okay, Tiffany? Okay, so now let's continue. Okay, I think by here, you all should be more or less able to do already. That means if I split up the model, okay, so total I have 1 unit, 2 unit, 3, 4, 5, 6, then plus the 5 units here. That means total I have 11 units. Okay, so 11 units will be equals to 237 centimeter minus away 3 times 35 centimeter. So far, okay, right? Is that okay? So that means 11 units is 132 centimeter. Okay, I think from there you all will know how to solve. That means we'll find what is 1 unit first. And then finally, we will find what is 5 units. Okay, so for those of you who managed to give me the answer, actually the answer is 60 centimeter. Okay, so for those who didn't get 60 centimeter just now, do you want to try again? You work out what is 1 unit. After that, you work out what is 5 units. Okay, you should be able to get 60 centimeter. Okay, that means 1 unit will be 132 centimeter divided by 11, which will be equals to 12 centimeter. Okay, Jordan, very good. You try again. Okay. And the question is asking for the length of stick B. So we know that stick B total will be 5 units. Okay. Yeah, Tiffany, very good. Okay, 60 is the final answer. That means we have 12 centimeter times 5. That will give you 60 centimeter. Okay, so for those who gave the answer 60 centimeter just now, yeah, very good. Okay, well done, you got it correct. Okay, and for those who didn't get 60 centimeter, do you manage to understand how we get the answer now? Okay. Okay, is there any question so far for this? If no, then I will move on to the next question. Okay, so now let's move on then. Oh, okay, Alicia, I'll give you some time to copy. Okay, yeah, you want to see the model, is it, Kaiti? Okay, so I move out a bit for you to take the model. You want to screenshot? Let me see. Thank you. Okay, Ken. Edward, is it okay now? Okay, so I have reduced the screen a little bit so y'all can see the model together with the solution. Okay. Okay, anyone still copying? If no, then I will move on already. Okay, let's go on to question 6. Okay, any one of you managed to do question 6 or not? Do you all try question 6? Okay, actually, I would say question 6 will be a slightly challenging question. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. So far, I've seen one answer which is correct in question 6. Okay, yes, now I see a few more answers that is correct. Okay, by the way, do you know what is the power code that we use for question 6? No, okay. Yeah, just now I see one of you, you put down sun. Okay, S-U-N. For those who are not mind stretcher students, do you know what does sun represent? Okay, sun is one of the power code that we use in mind stretcher here. Okay, yeah, so sun actually means splitting of units and numbers. Okay, so sun is actually the short form for this power code here. That is splitting of units and numbers, S-U-N. Okay, so later when I go through this power code, I'll explain to you why we split the units and the numbers. Okay, so let's read this question first. Okay, we have Christopher has $560 more than Jessica. Okay, Christopher spent 2/5 of his money, and Jessica spent 1/3 of her money. Okay, so in the end, Jessica has $145 more than Christopher. Okay, let me draw the model first. Okay, maybe I start with a before model. Okay, so before we know that Christopher is $560 more than Jessica. That means I have Christopher and Jessica. Okay. So far, the before model, you all should be okay, right? Okay. Christopher is $560 more than Jessica. Okay. So now the next step. Okay, next step, we know that Christopher spent 2/5 and Jessica spent 1/3. That means right now I will have to split up this model into different parts. Okay, so if I have 5 and 3, does anyone know how many parts or how many units do you think I have to split my model into? Okay, for this portion here. Does anyone know how many units do I have to split into? I can see some of you say 15 units. Very good. Okay, yes, correct. I'm going to split it into 15 units. Okay, that means I have 15 units. I have 15 units. Okay, so for those of you who are not sure why is it 15 units, okay, 15 units is actually the LCM of 3 and 5. Okay, so 3 and 5 will give me 15 units. Okay, so now I'm going to go through why is this heuristic here called splitting of units and numbers. Okay, if we look at this model, I have a portion of a model that is in units, and I have another portion of the number that is in numbers. Okay. So that means when I have Christopher spend 2/5 of his money, okay, I don't only take 2/5 of 15 units only. I will have to take 2/5 of 15 units. Also, I have to take 2/5 of 560. Okay. So, okay, does anyone know what is 2/5 of 15 units? 2/5 of 15 units. Okay, very good. 2/5 of 15 units is 6 units. And does anyone know what is 2/5 of $560? Okay, you all can just type the answer in the chat. What is 2/5 of $560? Okay, yeah, so I see 224, correct? Okay, 224. Okay, that means for Christopher here, I have to remove away 6 units and $224. Okay, so maybe I'll just so for Christopher, I will be left with 15 units minus 6 units, and Christopher will be left with 9 units. And for the dollar amount, that will be 560 minus 224, and this will be $336. That means this top portion here, okay, Christopher will be left with 9 units and $336. As for Jessica, okay, Jessica, let me see the question again. So she spent 1/3 of her money. Okay, that means 1/3 of 15 units. Okay, can you type in the chat what is 1/3 of 15 units? Okay, good. Okay, so 1/3 of 15 units will be 5 units. That means for Jessica, she will be left with 15 units minus 5 units. So Jessica will be left with 10 units. Okay. So my after model will look something like this. That means for Christopher, okay, Christopher, I will be left with 9 units, and the dollar amount will be 336. That means this is 336. And for Jessica, okay, Jessica, she'll be left with 10 units. Okay, that means this is 9 units, this is 1 unit here. Okay, total, this one is 10 units. So far, any problem with the after model? Is there anything that you are not sure of? Nope, okay. So now if we look at the model, okay, hold on, I forgot one part. From the question, it says that Jessica has 145 more, right? Is it 145 more? Let me see. Yeah, Jessica has 145 more. Okay, so this is 145 more. Okay, so from this model, we will know that 1 unit is actually 336 plus 145. That means this is $481. Okay. So if 1 unit is $481, and we want to find out how much money does Jessica have. Okay. So we know that from the before model, Jessica, that she has 15 units. Okay, so for Jessica at first, we will find what is 15 units. So it's 15 times 481. And this will be 7215. Okay, so far is it okay? Yishan, which part of the model that you don't understand? Is it the before model or the after model? Okay, if it's the after model, okay, So we know that, okay, at first, Christopher has 15 units. Okay, but Christopher spent 2/5 of his money. Okay, so we know that 2/5 is actually 6 units. Okay, so we take 15 units minus 6 units to get 9 units. Okay, that's why in the upper model, I have 9 units over here. And this amount, okay, where the 560, so 2/5 of 560 is 224. Okay, so when we take away the 224, we will have 336 here for the after model. Okay, so far, Yishan. Then for Jessica, okay, Jessica has 15 units at first. And after she spent 1/3, okay, which 1/3 is actually 5 units. So that's why for Jessica, you'll see that there is left with 10 units. Okay. Okay, any questions so far for this one? If no, then I can move on. Okay, so now I will move on to the next one. Okay, yeah, question 7. Someone type ratio. So ratio, there are also different type of power codes also. Okay. Yes, I see someone say unchanged total, total unchanged. Yeah, okay, most of you managed to get it right. Okay. Yes, this is a ratio question, but in ratio, there is different power codes also, like total unchanged, unchanged difference, okay, repeated identity, and so on. Okay. So for this power code here, we are using is total unchanged. Okay. So let's look at this question here. Yeah, just now I think I saw someone saying that this power code is double if. You are not wrong also. Okay. So for this question, we have Catherine and Mary had some money and wanted to buy a bag that cost $245. So if only Catherine paid for the bag, the amount of money Mary had to the amount of money Catherine had left would be 2:1. Okay. So let's say, okay, for case 1. Case 1 is if Catherine paid. Okay, so if Catherine paid for the bag, then the ratio is Mary to Catherine. And the total. Okay, so if Catherine paid, the ratio is 2:1. And this total will be equals to 3. Okay. So for case 2, okay, case 2 will be if Mary paid. Okay. Okay, case 2. So if Mary paid. Okay, if Mary paid for the bag, then the ratio will be, let me write down first, Mary, Catherine, and total. Okay, so if Mary paid, then the ratio will be 3:2. That means this is 3:2. Okay, so for this case, the total is 5. Okay. So we know that for case 1 and case 2, no matter is it Catherine paid or Mary paid, the total will be unchanged. Okay, so that means for this case, I have to make the total to become the same. Okay, which are 3 and 5, the LCM will be 15. That means this will be 10 units. Okay, and this is 5 units. Then for case 2, okay, same thing, I will get 15. That means this will be 9 units and 6 units. Okay. So now if you look here, okay, if let's say Mary paid, that means the number of units for Mary, her reduction is from 10 units to 9 units. Okay. That means 10 unit minus 9 unit, which will be 1 unit. Okay. And we know that the cost of the bag is 245 from the question. Okay, so this part here, the bag is 245. That means if let's say Mary paid $245, the ratio will reduce by 1 unit. So in another word, that means that 1 unit will be equals to $245. Okay. So now the question is asking how much money does both girls have altogether? Okay. So we know that both girls, total they have got 15 units. Okay. But this 15 units here is actually after they spend 1 unit paying for the bag. Okay. That means this is actually total there should be 16 units. Okay, 15 units is what the girls have currently after they paid for the bag, and the bag will cost 1 unit. That means we will just find what is 16 units. If we want to find the girls, how much do they have altogether? Okay, so 16 units will be 245 times 16. So this is $3,920. Okay, so for those who managed to get $3,920, okay, Asian, why is it 16 and not 15? Okay, 15 is the total number or the total amount that the girls have after paying for the bag. Okay, so don't forget the bag actually costs 1 unit. Okay, so that's why we will have 16 units. Okay. So Ishan, do you understand? Okay, any questions so far for this? If no, then I will move on to the last question for today. Okay, why 10 minus 1? Okay, so Mary at first is 10 units. Okay, but after Mary paid for the bag, Mary becomes 9 units. Okay, so that's why we will have 10 minus 1 to find what is 1 unit, and then we will know that 1 unit is actually equals to $245. Okay. Yeah, I think we can go on to the last question. Yeah, Sijie, why we need to multiply by 16, not 15? Okay, just now I mentioned that 15 is the total amount of money both girls have after paying for the bag. Okay. That means the girls have 15 units, but that is after they paid for the bag. Okay, and the bag costs 1 unit. So total money they have at first will be 16 units. That means before they pay for the bag, they should have 16 units. But after they pay for the bag, they will be only left with 15 units. Okay. But since the question is asking for how much do they have altogether, that means we will just find how much do they have altogether before they pay for the bag. Okay. So that's why we have 16 units. Okay, let's look at question 8. Okay, maybe can you type down what do you think is power code? Okay, unchanged difference. Yeah, a lot of you got it correct there. Now, unchanged difference. Okay, so this is the unchanged difference. Okay, let's look at the question. So we have Eunice and Jaden agree to share the cost of a present equally. So Eunice and Jaden had $156 and $240 respectively. So after each of them paid an equal amount, the amount of money Jaden had left to the amount of money Eunice had left was 3:1. Okay. So how much was the cost of the present? Okay, so let's draw the model again. Not model, I write the ratio first. Okay, so Eunice and Jaden and the difference. Okay, so we know that Jaden is 156. Sorry, Eunice is 156 and Jaden is 240. Okay, so Eunice 156, Jaden is 240. Okay, so if we calculate the difference, we will get 84. Okay. So each of them paid an equal amount of money. That means for this case here, if Eunice and Jaden both spend the same amount, the difference will always be 84. It will not change. Okay. So after they spend the money on the present, okay, so the ratio Jaden have to Eunice have is 3:1. That means Eunice left with 1 unit and Jaden is 3 units. Okay, so maybe I put down first. This is before. That means before they paid for the present, and this is after. Okay, so after they paid for the present. Okay, so the difference now will be 2 units. Okay, 3 units minus 1 unit is 2 units. Okay, so from this part, okay, we can see that 2 units is actually equals to $84. Okay, that means 1 unit will be 84 divided by 2. That is $42. Okay. So if 1 unit is $42, okay, if we just look at the portion of Eunice here, that means Eunice after paying for the present, Eunice will be left with $42. Okay. At first, Eunice had $156. After she paid, she will be left with $42. That means the amount Eunice spent will be 156 minus $42. And this will be $114. Okay. So since the question says that both of them spend the same amount, that means Eunice spent $114, Jaden will also spend $114. Okay. So the cost of the present will be 114 times 2. So this is $228. So far, is it okay? Any question? Yes, if you want to find Jaden first, then you find Eunice, also can. That means for this case, you just work up the 3 units. You take 3 times 42. After that, you take 240 minus the answer for 3 times 42. Okay, you can still get the same answer. Okay. Okay, do you have any more questions? Why only the 2 units? Okay, 2 units, because 3 units minus 1 unit will get 2 units. Okay, so Yenteng, you have to times 2 because the 114 is just the amount that Eunice spent. And Jaden also spent the same amount. Okay, so that's why we need to have 114 times 2. Okay. So if there is no other questions, then I will pass over to maybe Teacher James or Teacher Wei Lun. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks, Teacher Michael. Okay, so student, I hope every one of you had a chance to try the question and also have learned from today's session, right? So what we're prepared for tonight, actually, these are some of the very frequently tested power codes that you will tend to see this from the exam. So I hope tonight, again, we have helped to clarify many of the questions that you all have, as well as help to reinforce some of the concepts that you all may have forgotten. Okay, and hopefully after this, you will all be a lot more confident when you next time see a similar question, and you can actually confidently apply this power code that we actually have prepared for you to help you in your revision. Okay. Yes. So I hope everyone has benefited from this. And then if there's no further question, thank you very much. Okay. And also thank you everyone for all your very active participation. So for tonight, I can see many of you has been actively trying, coming back with responses as well. But the important thing is that we learn. Whether you got it right or wrong, that is not the most important thing. Okay. The important thing is you have actually learned and you are now better, after you attend today's session. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. Okay, and good night.